Hannah.
And I'm Matt Hannah.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannahs,
where we like to talk about all of your favorite scary movies.
And in the wise words of Bodies, today's episode is a podcast about hanging out with your smartest and funniest friend. So we are joined here today with our friend Michaela.
Hello.
And if you're a long-time listener, you'll remember Michaela from our Nightmare Before Christmas episode, where we tried to rewrite the last act of the movie.
Yes.
So if you want to hear that, go listen to it. I thought that was a pretty good one, so I'm sure the audio quality is not great on it, but
it is a fun episode, though.
Yeah.
We have some very poignant takes about what would improve that film and the themes of the film.
But, Michaela, we're glad to have you back. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And today we watched what I have referred to as a poop pants scary movie on the podcast before, I believe.
It is poop pants scary.
The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yeah.
And there were no soiled pants today while watching.
No soiled pants. There is a scratch on my forehead. I don't know if it's visible, but at one point I had like my hand like on my like cheek, but my fingers like near my forehead, just like, oh. And then something scary happened and I literally swiped like my nails across my forehead and just scratched the fuck out of myself because I was scared.
There were a lot of yells during this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't had a good hide and scream moment in quite a while, so I was happy to have one.
It filled your bucket.
It did.
Yeah.
And Michaela, this is your first time seeing this movie, correct?
Yeah, it
so
was.
Your first time. I've seen this once before.
I was with you when you saw it that one time.
Did we watch it with my mom, too?
I think it was just us. I think during like the pandemic, we were like, we heard the scurry.
And it is.
Yeah.
It is. So we've both seen this once, and so we just watched it again, so it is fresh in our minds. But before we get into it, I heard you have icebreakers.
Yeah, I have an icebreaker. We had asked on Blue Sky. We want to
Follow
make
us on
sure
Blue Sky,
you get to
Horror
know
Hour.
us. So if you have an icebreaker question, hit us up with that and we'll answer it on the pod. So one of the icebreaker questions we got was from Movie Postmortem Podcast, and they asked...
They like all of our stuff.
Yeah, I love them for that.
Yeah, they like every single one of our things.
We love your support and your commentary. If you could go back and uninvent something, what inventions would you erase from history?
The smartphone. Like, not kidding.
Wow.
That's not mine.
I think I would. In all reality, like, the smartphone has ruined so many things about our lives. Well, it's made things very convenient. It is not good for our brains, and I think it wouldn't lead to the rise of social media and data farming and just our fighting for our attentions.
Matt, you sound like a boomer right now.
I was just going to say,
I mean,
what a fast answer, too. Like,
are we not being serious about that, though? Like, come on, we have to admit that at least social media has been, like, such a huge issue.
Well, that's
for our
different than the
brains.
smartphone, though.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be fighting for our attention the same way had it remained on the computer in the office and not at our fingertips.
I would manage. I'd pull it up on my computer while working instead of on my phone.
Well, I'm saying smartphone. I sound crazy. But I was just watching an Eddie Burbeck video where he tried to live without a smartphone for a month, and it was, like, really good for him. So
yeah.
Well, good for him.
So go watch that video. I haven't finished, but it was pretty good.
I'm not doing it.
But not for me. That's a good question.
I would say the atomic bomb.
AK-47. Good answer. Oh, well, they're going to make guns either way. Atomic bomb's a good answer.
Wow.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Two very different.
Both with a lot of destruction caused by them. Though.
Okay. But
Different types of destruction.
Different types of destructions.
Yeah, no, atomic bomb, that's a good pick. No, I mean,
Don't
like,
compare the invention of the smartphone and the bomb that, like, destroyed Japan.
well, and also is basically
And it's
assured.
ruining us now.
Yeah,
Like,
America's great evil. One of our many great evils.
yeah.
Good pick.
Trying to think of a goofy pick.
Oh, I know. I'll choose vaping.
The vape.
Oh,
The vape.
I like that one. And
The
not
vape.
even for, like,
Yeah,
health
smoke
purposes.
cigarettes like a man or woman, adult, sorry.
I hate when people, like, do a fat vape cloud in your face when you're, like, walking down the street.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
I love that shit.
Like, do what you want behind closed doors. I don't
But
really
not in
care.
my
But
face.
not in my face. I didn't ask.
Yes, cigs only. Cigs inside, too. Bring them back.
No.
We should be able to smoke at restaurants again.
No more cigs inside.
My asthma can't handle it. It's a struggle.
Grow up.
That's good. That's a good question, though. Good icebreaker.
I like
Yeah.
it. I hope they liked our answers.
Thank you, movie postmortem podcast. I thought of a goofy one, and I'm going to say artificial strawberry flavored things. Because I think artificial strawberry is disgusting.
That's so true.
I hate it.
Good one.
I was like, what is a goofy ass answer? Because my serious answer was pretty
Yeah, pretty serious.
serious. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll get some more sent to us. Definitely hit us up if you have any goofy or not so goofy questions that you want us to answer. But The Autopsy of Jane Doe, the movie we are all here to discuss, is a 2016 film written by Ian Goldberg and Richard Yang, directed by André Øvredal. We have covered another... Øvredal. He was also the director of another movie we have covered in this year. Take a guess, Matt.
I have no idea.
Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Interesting. I actually kind of see some visual similarities, although I think this is a better looking movie.
I think this is like an infinitely better movie.
It's just a better movie in general, yes. But like even, I kind of now, I see a little bit. But
And it is starring Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch.
yeah, one huge name and one guy I've never seen in anything else ever again.
Yeah. When I saw the name, I was like, is that a man or a woman? Like, is that the girlfriend or the
Don't know.
son?
Yeah, never heard of him.
Yeah. He's been in some notable stuff. He was in Into the Wild, which and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I did not
Speed
recognize
Racer.
him. Okay. Yeah, he is Speed
Milk.
Racer. He is Speed Racer, right?
How the fuck would I know?
Oh, I think he might be.
Oh, wow.
Matt's favorite movie.
I was just going to say.
He is listed first, so he must be
Yeah.
Speed Racer.
Goodness.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, our other frequent guest, Matt,
Who is Michaela's partner.
boyfriend, but also his favorite movies,
Biggest,
allegedly
yes,
Speed Racer.
biggest Speed Racer fan. I thought he looked familiar. Okay, wow.
How many times have you been made to watch Speed Racer, though?
A few, but I only...
Is it good?
Yeah, it actually is really good.
I've heard it's good.
I only watched half of it, and then, I fall
It's
asleep
directed by
early.
the Wachowskis.
So it can't be bad,
It's
right?
really good.
Yeah.
I want to rewatch it now.
Yeah, now let's cover it. Okay, what's some more background?
I meant to throw this out earlier because it's not about the movie, but it's about our guest. Since Michaela was last on the podcast, she finished her master's. So snap.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Now
Don't
I can
beat the
live
mic
my
with
life.
snaps.
God bless. All right, back to the background on the film, though. The script had previously appeared on the annual Blacklist.
Of course it had.
So, the Blacklist is an annual survey of the most liked screenplays for film that had not yet been produced or made. So, some of the films that people might know that did very well that were previously on the Blacklist included Juno, Slumdog Millionaire, Spotlight,
I do love Spotlight.
Argo, American Hustle, Hell or High Water,
I like that one too. I like a lot of these movies.
etc. There's been plenty of pretty solid horror movies that were on the list, but then there's also an occasional movie where you're like, it could have stayed.
The Blacklist is so funny because I feel like there's gonna be so many horror movies, and when someone wants to make a quick buck, they're gonna, like I said, that's how I felt about Death of a Unicorn. So they're gonna go and blow off some dusty old script
But
and be
it's
like,
the most
"Hey, here's
liked-
$5 million. Make me $500 million."
Yeah, but Death of a Unicorn wouldn't be on a list of the most liked
You're right.
scripts.
It wouldn't be most liked. Maybe they should have made something off of that instead of Death of a Unicorn.
And what happened with this was the director, André Øvredal, had watched The Conjuring and was like, nice, a traditional scary movie. I want to make a pee-pants scary movie. And
The
said,
Conjuring-
give me a script.
The Conjuring, I'll stand by. Controversial. That is a pee pants or poop pants scary movie, in my opinion. I love that movie. I covered that. Go listen to us talk about it there. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so then it got pulled from the Blacklist, and he got it, and he made it, and it's great.
And I remember this movie being pretty popular when it came out. I remember people being like, this is good. At least from my recollection, maybe in the horror space.
Yeah, I wasn't in the horror space whatsoever at that point, so can't comment. But I know people in the horror space now like talk about it fondly, so...
Yeah, and it was critically 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. So people like it. People love a slow, even kind of slow burn, short horror movie that has effective scares. Hour and 26 minutes.
Iconic
is the runtime. That's with credits. So
iconic.
Yeah. Any other?
My other quick background fact is, although there are some prosthetics used, the role of Jane Doe was played by actress Olwen Kelly because the director felt it was necessary to have an actual person there to help the audience connect on a human level, but also to help the male actors in the film. Also,
she's just a model in real life. She's one of her only acting creds.
Yes.
And I actually do think that decision was really useful and effective. Mm-hmm.
It feels like a person because it is a person.
Right. And she really does just lay there the whole time.
Wow. Yes.
She doesn't move.
Yes.
There's other bodies that move throughout this movie, but she does not.
She laid there for 8 hours a day for 5 weeks.
Good for her.
Oh my
Get that bag,
girl. That's what I was about to say.
And
she's Irish. Hell yeah.
Øvredal did say that it actually was very helpful beyond that because some of the close-up scenes with a prosthetic just would have looked like shit or been impossible. So having a real person to do some of those close-ups was very important.
It's awesome.
Those close-up shots of her eyes would look...
They wouldn't work.
You just couldn't do it with a not person.
Everything about it works because it also kind of plays on just how... what am I looking for? Morgues and autopsies and dead bodies and murders are very inhuman, right? And I think people are kind of have to compartmentalize bodies versus people.
Yeah.
And so by using a real person, I think it helps show how those characters have to compartmentalize because it's harder for us to do it.
Yeah. Right.
And I think
that's
cool.
why they have the scene with the girlfriend also being shown the bodies. I think that kind of serves the same purpose.
And that's kind of a thing they have to do is compartmentalize, but it's also not something that we as viewers have to do or we as people need to do.
If you're not working in this kind of field, you don't need
and you shouldn't
to do that.
It's not good for you, right? But very cool. I think it's a great choice.
So let's do our 15-second summaries.
Already? Whoa.
Yeah,
this was so early. I don't know why.
It's not. It's the order.
15-second summaries. Okay. You want to time me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, body of a witch is found, and then guys try to do autopsy, but then witch lady basically just sucks up all their energy and kills them, and then she moves on somewhere else to do it again, because she's a badass, independent, strong woman.
Damn.
They kind of established that she probably wasn't a witch, but trying her as a witch made her a witch.
Oh, so... Okay.
Is their logic.
No, they say that, but then... she betrays Brian Cox. So
she doesn't. He didn't finish the ritual. He didn't cut his tongue out.
That's how you
right?
His son kills him.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
he didn't complete it.
I was kind of thinking that, okay, so if he had completed it.
Yeah, he didn't complete it.
But yeah, so maybe they turned her into the witch. You're right. But she's a witch now. So I stand by she's a witch lady.
Good enough. Yeah. All right. You ready, Michaela?
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Father and son pathologists perform an autopsy on an unnamed woman and are in a horrifying surprise when they discover she is alive and seeking revenge. Stop.
Nice. Stop. Time. Lap.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Good work. Good work.
Okay. I have a joke one since you guys covered the real ones.
Okay.
I don't even need to time it.
I got it.
It's fine.
She said, I don't even need to time
I'll count in my head. Ready? Go.
Good for her.
Is this a good for her movie?
Yes, I felt like it was.
Yeah.
They didn't deserve it. I mean, maybe they didn't.
But the way Brian Cox explained it was, it does make sense. They were still causing her harm.
I know, but they didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that, and I'm
it was
not
their
saying...
job.
Yeah,
they were just following orders.
Oh, yeah. That argument always works. Anyway, Matt, give us your full summary.
Okay. I have the summary here. The Corpse of an unidentified young woman is found at the scene of an inexplicable multiple homicide. No signs of forced entry are found, and it is determined that the victims were trying to escape the house where the killings took place. A half-buried Jane Doe is found in the basement, which is delivered to the local coroner, Tommy Tilden, and his son, Austin. Austin postpones his date with his girlfriend, Emma, to help his father with the Jane Doe's autopsy, promising to meet her later that evening. Upon examining the body, Tom and Austin quickly become confused. The Jane Doe's waist shows signs that she had worn a corset for most of her life. Time of death is impossible to determine due to lack of rigor mortis, and blood still flowing in her veins, suggesting that the death had just occurred, but the cloudiness of her eyes suggests she had been dead for several days. There are no externally visible signs of trauma, yet her wrist and ankle bones are shattered. Her tongue has been cut out, one of her molars is missing. Her lungs are blackened as though she had suffered third-degree burns, and her organs reveal numerous scarring from stabs. Jimson weed, a paralyzing agent native New England, is found in her stomach. Continuing the autopsy, they find the woman missing's tooth wrapped in a piece of cloth in her stomach. The cloth has Roman numerals, letters, and an odd diagram. Similar symbols are found drawn on the inside of her skin. The lights in the room suddenly explode. During the confusion, they realize other corpses in the morgue have gone missing. They attempt to leave, only to find the elevator doesn't work and that a fallen tree has blocked the only exit. Tommy and Austin return to the autopsy room and again examine the corpse. When the door locks itself, Austin hacks it with an axe. Through an opening, he and Tommy see one of the missing corpses. Unable to get to the cremation furnace, they set the corpse ablaze in the examination room. The fire quickly spreads. Tommy puts it out with an extinguisher, but is disturbed to find the body has not been burned. When the elevator reactivates, Tommy and Austin again attempt to escape, but the doors will not close. Panicked, Tommy uses an axe against what he believes to be one of the animated corpses. When he and Austin exit the door, they discover he has actually killed Emma, who had returned to meet Austin. Certain that the Jane Doe has been preventing them from discovering her true cause of death, they return to the examination room. To their amazement, the body's neurons remain active, meaning she is biologically alive. Further examination of the cloth determines that the markings refer to Leviticus 20:27, which condemns witches, and the year 1693, the date of the Salem witch trials. Tommy reasons that in their attempt to punish a witch, the Salem authorities instead transformed an innocent woman into a witch, rendering her immortal and allowing her to feel all of the pain her body endures, even though she appears dead. Tommy offers himself to the corpse as a sacrifice, hoping she'll spare Austin. His ankles and wrists shatter, mimicking the corpse's wounds. As the wounds are inflicted upon Tommy, the corpse's own wounds begin to heal and her eyes return to their original color. As Tommy reaches for a knife to cut out his tongue and complete the ritual, Austin stabs his father in the chest to end his misery. Believing he hears the sheriff outside, Austin approaches but realizes the voice is another hallucination. Startled by a vision of Tommy's corpse, Austin trips over the railing and falls to his death. The police arrive the next morning and are confused by another inexplicable crime scene. The corpse shows no signs of trauma, and it is taken to Virginia Commonwealth University. During the ambulance ride, the radio spontaneously turns on, and the corpse's toe twitches. And that's the movie.
Nothing scarier than a long-haul flight that leaves you feeling like a sleep-deprived zombie. That's why we're partnering with Vital Spring, the ultimate electrolyte and mineral replenisher designed to keep travelers hydrated, relaxed, and well-rested, even at 30,000 feet. Inspired by a 500-year-old mineral spring, it's packed with essential nutrients like magnesium and calcium to help fight dehydration and improve sleep. Don't let jet lag turn you into a horror movie victim. Grab Vital Spring and travel like a survivor. Okay, so did we find this movie scary?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's scary. It's good too. Like it's like good.
Yes.
It's like very well crafted, well set up scares. I don't think it overdoes it. It uses some jump scares that I think are reasonable and earned, and I think has really good moments of tension and build up. Like really, like what I would say is just a well crafted scary movie. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it's simple.
It is. I think it's the build-up was what was the scariest for me.
Yes.
And that's what makes it earned. That's what
Yeah.
makes it work. This is like a perfect like lessons learned type movie for people who want to make scary movies, I would say. Like it's not like this movie's like out of this world in any way, but there's I think a lot of really good choices that are made.
I agree. Well, we definitely found it scary throughout. There were 9 hides, but like a lot of those were Michaela for like very long chunks of time.
95% of them were me.
And how long were those hides? We gotta start counting them as more than one.
I mean,
gotta
throughout
time
the
the
movie, I was just covering my face.
With certain guests, I need to do like percentage of movie hidden.
Yeah.
Preston, no one will ever beat
will
him
beat
in
Preston.
Skinamarink.
I
think he
didn't
hit
beat
for
him.
90% of Skinamarink.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
you were.
I was ready to
was
hide. So, what was sorry? How many percentage was Michaela?
Who's to say? But
You have
it's
any
definitely
idea,
better
Michaela?
than Preston.
I guess 80.
80% you were hiding?
No,
No.
maybe 70.
I think that's
I was
not
going
bad.
like this,
You were
so I could
looking.
like.
You were looking. Yeah, it's more like
Yeah.
20. Went for
I would
actual.
say like 30.
30? Okay.
30%.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
So that's a selling point for some of the audience out there. So.
Yeah, we had 5 screams.
I
More
had
of those,
0.
I think, might have been me.
Hannah made a noise that I've never heard her make watching a movie. She sounded like the fish that smells SpongeBob when he has bad breath and goes,
Oh, yeah. What part was that?
I don't
I forget
know.
what part that was.
Oh,
when
it
the
was-
when the mouth opened, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was
mouse.
the axe
Yeah.
through the door, and then
And
the
you
mouth
saw the
was in
mouth.
the door. Yeah.
Yes.
And I like knew something would be there, which is why it wasn't a full scream. But then I think my
it was
panic
still-
came out in like
Yeah, that noise was crazy. I don't even know what I would
Matt
call
was
that.
like, "What the fuck was that?" It's like it's
It was scary.
That's funny.
So obviously we thought this movie was scary and we liked it. So let's get into why. What worked the best?
Oh, I just said a bunch of reasons why. So you guys say some stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michaela?
Other part besides the tension building was definitely the lighting too. I feel like definitely drove it home.
It's a well lit movie.
Yes.
I just thought about that. I didn't even think to say it because I only realize when it's bad. But yeah, for dark scenes, this movie's
Yeah.
well lit.
Yeah.
And I think it does a really good job with like using shadow and whatnot. Like instead of fully seeing a corpse, sometimes we're just seeing the shadow of a person, which I think is even scarier because we're trying to like fill in what that could be.
Right.
So all those scenes were really scary. They also do this really cool thing in the hallway. What is that called? Like the
mirror things.
yeah, like the mirror thing
Yeah.
that's like in a corner, so you could kind of see around the corner.
Oh, yeah, it's like a mirror that.
I don't know.
It's like
what
when
to
you're
call
driving, the
Yeah,
rounded
like the
mirrors,
side- yeah.
concave mirrors or convex mirrors.
Yeah.
They use that probably because when guys are coming around corners with dollies, not dollies, with gurneys.
Yes.
They have that, and yeah, you're right. They use that a lot.
And
for some good
when it
scares.
would show, like shapes in that, it was fucking terrifying.
Camera placement in general was good here. That to create scares, I thought camera movement and putting the threat at either between you and the characters or putting the threat in front of you and forcing you to face it head on, but never really showing you the whole thing worked really well. And I will say part of what made the camera work really well is I think the set is incredible. And I'm curious if you felt similarly. I felt it was very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I loved how unique it was. Like it's in the basement of this place. So you get this rickety old elevator to get down there. You're stuck in this old timey grandma's basement looking morgue thing. But it's also like you get the technology as well. The hallways are skinny.
It's so
It's got a
funeral
spiral
home.
staircase.
Yes.
It's what you imagine in the bottom of a funeral
Yeah.
home.
But they're doing
combined
cause of
with-
death. So it's like a weird like
Yeah, I like the
old-timey
offices
morgue.
look like a funeral home,
Yes.
and then there's boom, morgue,
Yeah.
autopsy.
Yeah.
Like my worst nightmare of being stuck with a bunch of dead bodies.
Yeah.
Like
I have to say a tangent. You two won't know this, but other people that listen will know. In Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village, there is a scene with a pseudo morgue that looks identical to this, and that game came out after. And it has the same exact elevator, the same like sliding elevator. You do an autopsy on a dummy of the character's wife. It's really fucking scary. The hallways are similar. Like everything about it looks almost identical to this. And it's in a house, and then you go down the elevator into the basement, and the morgue's down there. Like so, I was like, looking at this, I was like, oh my god, did they just like take all the aesthetic from Autopsy of Jane Doe for Resident Evil Village?
Copycat.
Well, and that I love that level in the game, so it was one of the scariest video game moments for me too. So, but
well,
yeah, just something I need to point out.
set wise, I really love a movie that takes place primarily in one place. I think it does like increase the claustrophobia and the tension when your characters physically cannot leave. In this movie in particular, I thought it was obviously incredibly successful. That's just like a style of movie I really like. So that was cool as shit. And I think they did a good job establishing, like, there is no way out.
Yeah.
So you're stuck here, boys.
And maybe they weren't even because there wasn't even a storm.
No, so...
That was a great reveal at the end that there was no storm. The tree fell on it.
Yeah. So is our interpretation that, like, her body just made them hallucinate, like, the whole time?
I think
Like,
she just had
what
control
all-
over physical surroundings and things like that. Maybe it stormed just over their home or over the morgue, you know?
My interpretation was she was probably making them see things, like why they thought the body of the girlfriend was, like, a corpse.
Yeah, that part still... Yeah, I still don't understand. Because he put the blanket over her body, too, and then at the end it wasn't there. Did you catch that?
No.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The
Cox
blanket wasn't there.
covered her before they went back in, and then when they came out, when the police were there, it wasn't on the
there.
body anymore.
Weird.
Oh, yeah. Now that I'm thinking
That
about
could
it...
be a continuity error or it could be a choice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it might have been a choice.
Yeah, I don't know if that means anything or what that would mean.
I don't know. Other scary aspect was the music. Going in and out.
That song? Yeah, the changing.
So creepy.
I love their old-timey radio, too.
Old-timey songs really fuck me up in a horror movie. Like, they scare the bejesus out of me if it's not something I'm, like, hearing on the reg. Like, the tiptoe through the tulips in Insidious is, like, one of my scariest moments in any film
That's
ever.
not an old-timey song.
It's not a new song.
I know. That one was, like, old.
This one is old. But I'm just saying, like, if it's not a song I'm hearing, like, on the reg, and it's, like, stylistically not classic rock or more modern,
They were
then,
listening
like,
to some rock.
I'm thrown and I'm scared. Similarly with sound, the bells on the ankles of the corpses.
Everything is so thought through to like put that on them early so you have you know why they point out the whole bell thing and you hear it multiple times. So then when it's later, your stomach just drops into your butt when you hear it and you're like, oh my God, a corpse is moving.
Yeah.
It's just
Chekhov's bell for sure.
Chekhov's bell, yeah. Well, Chekhov's bell that you don't expect. That's like the best kind is you're like, oh my God, I didn't think that was coming back. And it's like they really like everything they did, especially in the slower first 30 minutes, like is important. And I want to compliment this movie for that as well. I love the procedural portion of this, like the whole doing the autopsy. It's really interesting. They make it really compelling. It seems like it's real.
For my true crime hoes, like it's
great.
appealing.
And it sets up this movie to be more than just a horror movie. It's also kind of a mystery because you yourself are like, what's up with this body? And it gets, the more they open her up, the more scared I get because I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, what is going on here? And like, I actually do think they give enough clues for you to come to this conclusion before they do or at the same time. Right? Like they give you, I think, enough ideas of like, okay, all of these things happen, but the outer skin's fine. And like, especially the corset thing, I think starts to really give it away. And the peat in her fingernails.
I didn't know what the fuck that was.
It's just like a soil.
So I wouldn't have ever been like,
Well, there's certain things that I think like can kind of, after knowing it already and watching it again, I was like, okay, you could like get to this yourself, which I think is cool. And like a sign of a good mystery.
Referring to the bells again real quick, just for the folks at home who may or may not know, because in the past people feared burying their friendos or themselves alive. They would add bells to corpses or coffins to alert like people in the cemetery if a person was interfered with, or like, came back to life.
Yep.
Wasn't dead.
Which happened.
Horrifying.
Yes. And that is where the phrase "saved by the bell" comes from.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
They would have ones where there'd be a
Crazy.
little string in your coffin and the bell would be up and you'd pull it if you woke up.
Yeah.
Saved by the bell. Because you could just seem dead because they didn't know whole pulse stuff nearly as well. And you could have a really low pulse and still be alive.
Horrifying.
Yeah. Hey, at least they had the plan. Think of the, how they figure out they needed to do that.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining someone like, hello.
Yep.
Help.
Oh.
Well, there are other things. Obviously, it's scary, and we talked about reasons that it's scary. Are there other things we think the movie is very good at or is effective with?
Every time they like zoom in on her eyes,
Oof.
that shit is like really tense and like uncomfortable and scary. Even though it's like practically the same shot over and over again, but I think it really does kind of lend itself to like, this is a person that they're looking at. Like, yes, it's a dead body, but it also was a person. Like, look at how beyond the eyes alive their face looks still, but also those eyes are like glaring into your fucking soul every time they
Those
show
cataract
it.
eyes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I was very impressed by Brian Cox in this movie. I feel like he's always good, right? And I thought it was cool that he signed on for something like this. Sure, he didn't take that big of a paycheck for it. I think he kind of kills it. I will say, though, the issue is I don't think that Emile is very good in this at all. He's like pretty mid, and sometimes next to Brian Cox, it makes it even worse. But I thought Brian Cox nailed this and was like, I think it made the movie better for me. So
I thought his son, Emile, whatever, I thought he was fine. Like, I wasn't like, wow, amazing.
Yeah.
But I thought they played off each other fine, and I like bought that he cared about his dad.
well,
and all that.
yes.
Like the relationship works to
It
me.
works
Like, they don't
clearly,
feel
yeah.
disjointed. Like, for example, Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega in Death of a Unicorn. Like, it's not that.
coming after that movie again, sound like me.
Yes. Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, they feel real. I think Brian Cox, like cold, calculated, just demeanor really works well for this, mortician, more whatever you call this role, especially when he kills a cat that's hurt, which I thought was a nice touch to kind of just give you more of his personality.
I thought it was really impressive that they are able to build like the father-son relationship and like the characters
In like 3 minutes.
so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how, again, this is one of those ones, watch as a lessons learned, because like you can do this kind of groundwork in a short amount of time with the right little manipulation.
Yeah, it's really impressive to have so much development over the course of 86 minutes.
Again, it's not anything like out of this world, but it works. It's effective.
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie is like a very quick, contained story, and I think that's what I wanted from it, and I'm happy that that's what I got.
It's the right kind of horror movie.
Like,
It
I
did
think,
its job.
yeah, and I think if they tried to do more with it, it would have just droned on, and it wouldn't have been as effective.
Yeah. I think it also leaves a lot to imagination throughout, which I found to be pretty effective. Like, yeah, we do see some things, but even at the very beginning, having them look at the guy with the gunshot wound in the face where it's basically cratered in, but they cover it, but you can see that it's cratered in through the cover, is so much more effective than showing it. Like, that made me like physically uncomfortable to look at, and just knowing, my brain starts thinking about what does that look like underneath. And then of course later when that body's moving around, it is now even more effective. Or like we said before, the lady with the mouth sewn shut and the eyes sewn shut, to then have her open them later, like that's when you made that crazy noise.
And they set that up so well by showing the girlfriend those bodies beforehand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just overall, like I said, I keep coming back that I just think it's well crafted.
And I think it's a great screenplay because those things show up and come back.
Yeah.
Yes. But going back to I think there's a lot of like just keeping things so that your imagination fills in, especially with the lighting, as we talked about before. And I think just with some of the more violent elements that are there, they don't fully show you, and that like works. And that's kind of goes to another testament to that, like showing gross things on screen doesn't necessarily actually help make it scarier.
Yeah.
It's better to put a thought in my head instead.
Yeah.
Like, what does a guy that got shot in the face after he was dead look like versus here he is?
Yeah.
So overall, very cool movie. I like it. It's one of those ones I laughed throughout it as well, because I was like, this is so cool. Like I'm locked in. I'm giggling, but I'm scared. Like nervous laughing.
There was one point where he giggled, and I was like, "What the fuck
Why
was
is this
that?
funny?
What is funny about this?"
It's funny because I like that I can be affected by it.
Right.
And it makes me happy that I'm like, oh, this is so clever. I the director was cooking. is the way I would put it. And I like to see a chef at work.
Chef. Yeah, no, I felt engaged the whole time, and I did like the balance of the mystery and the horror.
Mm-hmm. There was a moment where I was like, oh, I'm locked in, and you were laughing, and it was within 5 minutes. It was when the girlfriend was looking at the bodies, and I was like, oh, I'm ready. Like I'm pulling in. This would have been a cool theater watch had I had the wherewithal to see it at the time. This would have been a scary one. My hamstrings hurt from tensing up in the theater.
Yeah. I would have had a problem because this might have been one of the years where I was living alone. I don't know what time of the year it came out. So if it came out before August, if it came out between the months of May and August, I was living alone, and I would have had a severe problem because another horror movie we saw in theaters that summer
was Hereditary.
Fucked me up. No, that was The Conjuring 2.
Oh, The Conjuring 2 was scary. Now it's not.
Me up.
I don't think that one's scary at all now, but at the time,
it was The Nun.
It was scary. The Nun was scary. That painting scene. Oof.
I could only see that painting scene, and I was like, I had a fucking shit mattress, so I used a blow-up mattress on the floor, and then I felt so low, and I felt like I was so accessible by a threat. Oh, everything about it was horrible.
Well, luckily we didn't see this then, for your sake.
God bless.
Was there anything we want to complain about or didn't like in this movie? You got complaints, Hannah?
The kitty cat.
Oh,
the cat died.
So sad.
I hated seeing the cat die, but I thought it was actually effective for
the story.
Yeah.
It was. I do get why they had to do it, but
and for those who don't know, the cat is theirs. It was actually, as Brian Cox said, his wife's cat, who is now dead, and it gets hurt, and he is holding it, and it's hurt, and 1 second he just breaks its neck to put it out of its misery. And it's brutal and really upset all of us, but also I kind of felt like this wasn't just a pet death to do a classic horror movie pet death. This was very much to show who he is as a character.
Yeah,
and it also tied in their relationship too, because it was moms and I hated it, but I was like, this is an effective storytelling piece to both tell me about this character and build that relationship. So I can't complain.
No, I agree. I'm not complaining for real.
The kitty cat was cute.
It made me sad because I like a kitty, but
it made me sad, but I was also I'm glad this guy has the strength to make that decision, you know?
Mm-hmm. It says a lot about him. Because
a lot of people don't have that, and it's really brutal and sad, but
Well, I think it says a lot about his character, right? And he's willing towards the end to also be the sacrifice. And it's his son who fucks it up by killing him when he would have totally done it and been strong enough to finish it.
Yeah. Brutal.
He's a strong dude, emotionally and clearly, physically.
Mm-hmm. Anything, Michaela, you did not like?
I think overall, solid movie, but also nothing specific. It's just not this is the best movie I've ever seen.
I agree.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
No, it's just fine. I mean, I don't think it has much of any deeper meaning. I think that they do some... They do some family dynamic stuff here that's fine and effective, but not anything out of the ordinary. I'm glad it's there because I think it elevates it a little bit, but it's not. And I don't think this movie wants to be anything more than exactly what it is. Yeah. So that would be my complaint, right? Is it's not Citizen Kane. But that's okay. It doesn't need to be. But it's also I've seen some horror movies that are 10 out of 10s. This is not up there, but it's really effective at being scary, and I like it. So that's how I feel. No specific complaints.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
But I highly recommend seeing it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm trying to think of what would have elevated it above what it is. And I just don't know what that would be. I mean, maybe I guess I don't care about the characters enough. I don't know if that's part of it, but I do think they do some amount of development.
In my head, I was there probably could have been more scares, but at the same time, if you go more scares, they get less effective.
Yeah.
So it's
I think what they did is good.
Especially in the setting you're in, I think you kind of nailed that balance. So I don't know. I don't think there's much to complain about. I think maybe it's lacking in some thematic areas, and we can get into that, and maybe that helps a little bit more. But again, I don't think it needs to be. It's kind of just like perfect as is for what it wants to be. So
yeah. Well, so real quick, I also did want to say having a movie set in a morgue is genius, because that is a scary place.
The whole thing there too.
Yeah, genius.
It's also genius because it doesn't cost anything. Like, you know how cheap it was to have 2 sets, maybe?
Yeah.
1, maybe?
Good for them.
Probably on a soundstage. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but still, like...
Yeah, I can't imagine this cost that much to make.
Yeah,
it also didn't make much.
Oh, it didn't?
No.
Sad. Aww. Tough. Well, it's kind of a cult classic, so...
It's getting praised now, so at least it has that. Yep. Okay, so I know we kind of said already that we don't feel like this movie is doing much thematically. What is the purpose of this movie?
To make you poop your pants.
Yeah.
Michaela, any thoughts?
Yeah, scary. I guess you could try and argue, you know, she's trying to seek revenge for being tortured and, you know, let's take down the patriarchy of...
Yeah, like you could read it as some, like, fuck the patriarchy shit.
Yeah, I think this is another one, I guess, in that vein of, like, pointing out one of the United States sins. This is a pretty big one. Not as big as, like, the nuclear bomb, as you said before, building the country on the back of slaves and things like that. But this is a pretty big one that has also completely shaped our country and shaped mythology of our country in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, the whole Salem thing is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy that it basically created a whole character out of it. Obviously, witches existed before, but I have to imagine the modern, like, movie witch really comes from this. I mean, look at Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Like, that's arguably the most famous on-screen witches, you know. Is that a fair argument?
Harry Potter.
Oh, I don't count Harry Potter as witches because, like, I'm going to come back to this really quick. Wizards and witches are not equivalent in my mind. Why are wizards is a non-gendered term? Why are they wizards and witches? If anything, it would be like witches and warlocks, or like I think men can be witches. Like, I got a whole problem with the nomenclature of magic users in that world. Just saying.
Go off.
Because think about it. And then they bring up sorcerers. I was like, what's a sorcerer compared to a wizard? A wizard's one that studies in D&D world, right? So, but a witch, come on. Just that actually seems like a patriarchy thing right there, to have women wizards be witches. It's fucked up, honestly. You know, I'm an ally.
Get it, girl.
Okay. Anyway, so I think it can be kind of read as, I guess, like a critique of that, or maybe it's just a revenge movie of a woman who was hurt by that whole situation, which there were many of. Men too, I believe. But in this one...
The men were, like, adjacent to that. Like, the men were for not reporting people for being witches. Like, the witches were
the women. They were horribly tortured and terrible things happened. So that's why in our mind we're like, good for her. Like, she's not maybe getting revenge on the right people, but it's still people that we could say benefited from that whole thing. I don't know if that to the same degree people really
benefited from, like, slavery, for example.
Yeah, it's like we're not doing like reparations for witch families, you know, or sorry, not actual witches, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Witch accusees. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
of a way to go. Like, we're just doing. Yeah, that's what he said. It's good for her. It's a revenge story.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's definitely a bit about that. Obviously that's not like super fleshed out, but like obviously there's pieces of it there. There's also like the pieces of family drama, but again, like, it's an 86-minute movie. We're not getting it overly fleshed out, but like there's enough pieces there. Did we have any favorite scenes or scariest scenes?
Oh, I'm gonna name one of my favorites, and the one that like really drew me in, I think, was when the girlfriend wants to see the bodies at the beginning. And he's like, Brian Cook's like, yeah, go ahead and look. And I really think they just like leave a lot to your imagination in those scenes. And I think that really drew me into the movie. Not the scariest, but one that really was effective for me.
I think those are really good world building.
I think I have
scenes.
Scariest and then second favorite. It's when they're running down the hallway to get in the elevator.
Yes,
okay,
I was just going to say
Yeah.
that anytime they were in the hallway, I was terrified, but especially when they were running towards it to try and...
And he pulls it open and they're
Yeah.
trying to get in and it's just following them slowly. But the lights are going out over its head right as it comes into our view. And we're forced to just stare it down and see this shadow and just bell walking. Ding, ding, ding. And then they get in there and they can't even get it closed. And then they're just stuck and you're like, oh my God, they're completely cornered and this thing's coming at them. That felt like something out of... you guys ever read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark when you were a kid?
I saw the
book?
movie.
You saw that movie?
Yeah.
That reminded me of something out of that book.
Yeah.
Like, just something as a kid, like I'm running from this slow moving thing and I put myself in the corner and it comes after me. Maybe the toe soup one or something. That's one
I have a reoccurring nightmare that I'm running home and someone's like following me and I get to my front door and it won't open. So that's what it reminded me of like trying to escape and you just can't.
What a nice scene. Hannah, you got one? A favorite or a scariest?
I'm trying to think of like what made me scream the loudest. Obviously, my weirdest scream was the lady at the door that was smashed in with the axe. I think a lot of the hallway scenes were definitely the scariest, and I think that's where they use like lighting and shape a lot to scare the bejesus out of you, or like some of those creative shots, like I said, with the mirror-y thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are hallways too.
Yeah.
So anything in the hallway.
Yes. That's what I
Michaela,
said.
anything else besides hallway scenes that you can think of that you want to shout out?
Oh, also just the actual autopsy scene just freaked me out anytime they were cutting into her body.
Crunching her.
Yes.
The noises, the crunchy noises were horrifying.
The rib
They
cage, that's what
were.
it was.
Yeah, the crunching. Oh, and then the dad when they were breaking his wrists and ankles at the end. That terrified me.
You know, that crunch thing is even grosser when you then realize later that she was feeling everything the whole time.
That's horrifying.
So I do want to know though, like, what do we think actually happens in here? She was tortured at some point. It burned as a witch. Now her body's just been traveling the world coast to coast, or the country coast to coast, just destroying anyone she can get her hands on and making them suffer what she suffered. And then it heals her up and she goes back to the next one. Right? Like that's because that's how it starts. She's just buried beneath a house at the beginning, which is also very scary.
It makes me question, like, was she buried there for a long time?
And those guys came across her.
Came across her, and that's why she's half buried in the basement? Or, like, because how else would she get there and just appear in these people's house?
Yeah. I love that premise, though. That is so scary that the police come across a crime scene. Everyone's mangled and destroyed. They're trying to get out. And then they find another body that has nothing to do with the crime scene that's pristine. And it's just half-buried naked lady in the floor. Like that, just as a premise, is scary. I don't want a prequel or a sequel to this movie, but I would love to see what happened in that house that night.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, I don't want it, but I kind of want a Autopsy of Jane Doe prequel movie.
No.
I think it would be really scary.
Write it as a book. I don't need the movie.
I was just going to say,
I would
yeah.
100% read a book
That
about
would
this.
be a really good book.
This would be effective for sure.
Yeah.
Damn. Now I want that. Maybe I'll write that myself.
Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
off.
you should.
Just the whole premise, the idea of you even just moving into a house and there's just already a body there. Just pristine
obviously
condition
that's, like,
under the floorboards.
happened over the course of history.
Not in
There's
pristine
plenty of-
condition like she was.
Well,
though.
yeah, pristine
That's what's
condition
scary.
is a
That's
bit
what
different.
scares me. Just this model.
Yeah,
Like,
this hot naked lady buried
yeah,
in your
yeah.
basement. Like you built your house on a hot, pristine naked lady.
It's scary. Okay. You were saying something though about people moving in and bodies being under their house? You don't know? Okay. But any other thoughts on like the pathology of Jane Doe?
Yeah, I don't know. And I think it's very clearly left open to interpretation for a reason. I don't think you need an answer, and I think it's kind of scary not having one. Like, you don't know where the fuck
for
this
sure.
started or how it works.
But I think part of the fun is talking about it a little bit, because that is like, it definitely, they want you to think about that with this movie.
Yeah, my like first thought was, why is she half buried in dirt? Like, how does that come to be? Because her body isn't moving itself. So, like, it made me think that was a newer find. So it's like, how long has she been there? Whatever.
My thought is someone was affected and was like, get rid of this thing, and just buried and bounced, you know?
In someone's basement.
Or even those guys were trying to bury her, and then that happened.
Yeah,
Like, who
I
knows?
guess. A point.
Yeah.
But, yeah, either way, whether they're the second family to be afflicted or the 100th, either way, spooky.
It is spooky.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point.
Yeah. Do you guys, like, how much of what they're experiencing do you think is really happening to them?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I think it's more fun to think that she's actually somehow physically moving things and creating physical things happening around them versus just hallucinations in their head. But I don't care. Either way works. I think the whole idea that it's real is more fun for me, though, and that she's somehow moving the bodies.
I do think that's more fun, but I do think they also set it up that none of it's, like, that a lot of it is a hallucination or in their head because of the storm.
Yeah.
And them accidentally killing the girlfriend,
Yeah.
who is probably also under the spell.
Yeah.
She do be a witch.
It happens.
All right.
Do
Well,
we
any
wanna-
other thoughts?
Do we want to rate it?
Yeah, we can rate it. And peace out. Oh, I have no idea how to rate this. Do you have any idea how to rate this?
I had a rating and then I looked at Letterboxd and everyone I follow on Letterboxd rated it lower than I was going to rate it.
No.
And now I feel insecure.
No.
insecure.
Give us your rating. Don't feel insecure.
Okay, like a 7.5 out of 10.
I was going to say 7.
Yeah. In terms of how much it scared me, like, we could go 8 or higher.
Right.
But I think because it's not making me feel other emotions besides scared, it can't really be much higher than that.
It's so weird because I was looking. I was also thinking a 7.5 or a 7 as well. I gave American Psycho a 3.5, and they're such different movies that to have them both have a 3.5, I feel so weird about it.
I might just give it a 4.
A 3.5 out of 5, I should say. So I think, I think a 7.5 is probably where. That's where I'm going to go with.
Where you're at.
Yep.
I'm glad that we're all in the same ballpark, same processing for this movie.
It's good. That's the thing. Like, it's a 7 or it's a 3.5 with a like on Letterboxd, maybe.
Okay.
We'll see if I actually like it. Okay. Well, I would recommend watching this if you've never seen it. It's definitely available and out there. I'd even say it's worth your $4 to rent on Amazon or whatever you need to get it on.
I would agree.
Or YouTube. I don't know what you use out there.
I think
Streaming sucks. Steal it. I don't care.
I think if you want to be legitimately scared, but you're not into, like, gore, really, or torture porn, or, like, you're not buying into the, like, with the sadness, like, the sexual assault for scares, whole bullshit.
Well, it's usually pretty uncommon, but...
No, there's a lot of, like, exploitation horror.
Sure.
And, like, a lot of people will be like, this isn't even scary. The scariest movie I've seen is insert movie with all of those things.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're just looking for just a genuinely, like, good time scary movie, this is high up on my list.
This is one that you might, like, you lay down at night and go to bed and you might get a little scared. Like, you might be laying there a little worried. And if that's your thing, then I'd say go watch it.
I'm definitely gonna, like, have to pee in the middle of the night and see, like, a shadow.
Jane's coming for you.
A shadow of a corpse in our apartment.
Yep. Okay, well, Michaela, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
One of these days you're coming back for Raw, right? That's what we wanted her on for. Or do we want Matt for that one? I don't know.
I think we originally were suggesting Michaela because we were like, we wanted someone with a sister.
Yeah, I do remember you saying that.
Yeah.
I'll promise it to the people out there. We'll see if it ever actually happens.
One day.
For Raw. I would love to cover Raw, but... Okay, well, thank you again, Michaela.
Thank you.
I have been Matt Hanna.
And I've been scared.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannahs. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Horror Hour with the Hannahs. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you can find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, where we post episodes and shorts. You can follow us at Horror Hour with the Hannahs on TikTok and Instagram, as well as at Horror Hour on Blue Sky for more content. If you like the podcast, please follow and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!